I'd like to introduce Melissa, and most of you were here last week. Melissa Kazan is a registered dietitian and sport nutritionist. She gave us an excellent talk last week. The recording is available. It was the most practical nutrition session that I think I've ever sat through. It was wonderful. So Melissa has a great deal of athletic work. She's been working with athletes in figure skating, diving, synchronized swimming, rhythmic gymnastics, curling, swimming, and women's basketball. And she's currently the team dietitian for Rhythmic Gymnastics Canada, Diving Ontario, and Mountain Bike Ontario. She has a master's degree of applied nutrition with a specialty in sport nutrition from McGill University. And she has a bachelor's degree in dietetics and human nutrition also from McGill. And she has a diploma in International Olympic Committee sport nutrition. So thank you very much, Melissa. This is a first for the Ontario Curling Council webinars, doing it live like this. So thank you very much, and take it away.
Thank you for having me, and thanks for the introduction, Andrea. So this is a first for everyone here. It's a first for me at home. So I've got everything set, but hopefully everything goes okay. So Andrea, if you don't mind making me actually a co-host or a host so that I can share my screen.
Sorry, I forgot to do that, didn't I? There we go.
Perfect.
Okay, there you go.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to start with a very short presentation just to get things going, introduce what we're doing today. And actually just maybe, I'm just curious, are you all doing the recipe with me today? Or I know Andrea's just gonna be watching, but is there anybody who's actually doing the recipe today? You can type in the chat or unmute.
Oh, Owen is going to.
Okay, perfect.
I think Dick said he had.
Dick is, yeah.
Great.
He has the fire department on standby.
Very great. Okay, Abby, perfect.
Hey.
We are together. Great. Okay, awesome. That makes me happy. All right, great. So today, what we're going to do is I chose one meal and one snack that we're going to be making together. And I really wanted to apply this in the setting of, you know, a meal that you can make when you are competing. So obviously you would need, for the meal that we're doing today, you do need a full kitchen. So you need access to a fridge because a lot of the stuff are perishables. They need to be stored in a fridge, and you do need a stove top and an oven as well, right? So a lot of this would be in a setting where you're staying in a lodge with a kitchen, or in an Airbnb situation, or if you're competing and coming back home, if the venue is close to you, okay? So what we're going to do before, I'm going to kind of introduce a little bit of what we're doing, but just to get some things ahead, let's just preheat our ovens to 350 degrees because we will need that. So that way, when we get started, that's ready. So for all of you who are cooking, why don't you just preheat the oven to 350 to start? And I'm just going to do mine. Right. Okay. Okay. So in terms of what we're going to do today, I'm just going to go over quick meal preparation tips, you know, reading over the recipe, what do you want to look for in general, how to maximize time when you are making several recipes. We're going to prep the recipes. And what I've done is we're going to start a little bit with the teriyaki salmon or chicken, and then we'll move on to do, just because there's marination time. So we'll marinate the protein, then move on to the energy bites, store those in the fridge, and then continue on with the main meal again. Okay. So what we're doing today is peanut butter energy bites. And we are making, so I don't know what you guys got. I'm making salmon tonight, but you have the choice of either getting salmon or chicken, teriyaki, and then we're gonna have couscous on the side. Okay. And then we're also going to review a little bit of chopping and knife review, especially for those who don't have a lot of experience in the kitchen. I'll just kind of go over some basic things that you want to be mindful of. Okay, and then towards the end, we'll try the food, and then we'll reflect on how this can be applied in a competition setting. Okay, so a couple of things to keep in mind when you are preparing some recipes. I always instruct my athletes to, when you are choosing the recipes that you want to make, whether you're doing it at home, whether you're doing it with your team members, it's always important to read the full recipe. And I don't mean just the ingredients so that you can get the ingredients from the grocery, but also making sure that you read all the steps, okay? If you notice sometimes in a recipe, and even in this one, we've got, for example, garlic cloves that are crushed or minced, right? So, and then in the end, so sometimes a recipe can also have a variety of vegetables that are chopped or prepped in a different way, but then in the direction, it doesn't say anything about that. It just kind of brings all the vegetables or all the ingredients together. So you might look at the direction and say, oh, that's going to take me 2 minutes. But if you look at the ingredients, you might see, okay, I actually need to prepare some vegetables that need to be chopped. I need to marinate the protein for 15 minutes. So, and it can add up a little bit of time. And that's okay, as long as you've prepared for it and that you're aware that there might be marination time, there might be washing veggies, chopping, etc., that you want to take into account, okay? So very important, not only to read the ingredients, but also kind of be mindful about what is the preparation ahead and what equipment you might need also. So especially in a competition setting, I wrote the equipment for you guys for the purpose of today's session. But if you're not in your own kitchen and if you are traveling for competition, you do want to be mindful about, okay, how many bowls do I need? There's a bowl. So for example, for today, we need a bowl for the couscous and we need a bowl for the sauce, okay? We also need a frying pan to saute the vegetables, and we need a baking pan. So just trying to make sure that you are laying out all of those equipments that you need, especially if you're not cooking in your own kitchen. Okay, and it's fairly easy. Once you chose your recipe, you can just kind of go through it and write down some of the things that you'll need to either make sure the kitchen that you're going to be cooking in has, or that you'll need to bring with you. All right. The other thing that you can do is, oftentimes what I'll tell my athletes is, if you are going to try a recipe, especially at an event, is perhaps try it out ahead of time, just so that you make sure that one, it sits well with you, kind of like what we talked about together last week. Don't try anything that you haven't had before, especially in a competition setting, because it might not sit well with you. You might not like it. The recipe might need to be adapted to your needs, right? So maybe you realize that there's a ton of leftovers, so you need to readjust the portion size. Maybe it's just perfect and that's great. It just kind of saves a little bit of stress. So always try it beforehand. It allows you to be more comfortable when you're doing the recipe in a situation where you're on a competition weekend. When it comes to dividing tasks, we're going to do that today. So today we know that there's some marination time for the protein. So we're really going to shift between the two recipes just to kind of make sure that we save time. So that while the protein is sitting there marinating, you're not just kind of waiting for the time to pass, you're kind of getting ahead, getting the energy bites done, and then we'll come back to the other recipe, okay? So when you are doing multiple recipes, it's always good to kind of look at either some waiting time where you can do something else, which is what we're doing today, but also sometimes let's say you're doing 2 main meals, there's similar vegetables that need to be chopped the same way. So there could be some similar tasks that you can do at the same time, and that usually can save you some time. Okay. All right, so we are gonna start cooking. I'm gonna wash my hands, and I want you to wash your hands as well, because that's very important. So again, in a competition setting, don't forget there's more stress. You're probably coming out of a week where there's more going on. You might have school, you might have work, you might have had a lot of training, and so your immune system might be a little more at risk of catching a virus. So make sure you always wash your hands before handling food. So we're going to get to doing that, and then we're going to talk about the steps that we're going to start with. Okay, so I'm going to wash my hands, and I ask everybody to also wash their hands, please, if you haven't done so. All right, so in terms of what we're gonna do, so we've already preheated the oven, we washed our hands. We're gonna start by making the teriyaki sauce, and I'll take you through that right now in a bit. And then we're either going to marinate the salmon or the chicken. And then we'll move on to the energy bites while the protein marinates. We'll stir fry the vegetables, bake the salmon, and then we'll cook the couscous and we'll enjoy the meal and then reflect on some of these things, okay? Any questions before I get started? You can type in the chat if you do, or unmute.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any.
Do we need a glass bowl or can it be any kind of bowl?
So for the sauce, any bowl. For the couscous, let me just remove my screen and show you what I have. 1 second. Stop share. Okay. Can you guys see me?
Very well.
Okay, perfect. So, okay. So this is the couscous that I have. This is a bowl because, so one of the reasons why I chose the couscous is because you don't need to, it's very, very easy. You just pour boiling water over this, top it off with either a lid or a plate, and it's going to cook by itself. Okay. So it's very easy to make. You don't need a stovetop. It's a really good grain to have. I've got a whole grain couscous here, but regular couscous works fine. In a competition setting, it might be even ideal just because it's easier to digest and it's going to get into your muscles faster. Okay. But you can try whole grain, regular, both of them are good, but that's what I have here. So that's why mine is brown. So this one needs to be, glass bowl is safer because we are going to pour boiling water over the couscous one. Okay.
Gotcha.
And then for the sauce, any kind of bowl works. So I'm just going to use this bowl for the sauce. And I'm going to use like a regular bowl for my energy bites. Okay. So any bowl for the energy bites also would work. So we need 3 bowls today.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. So, all right, we're going to get started with the sauce. So the sauce is going to be divided in 2. Okay. We're going to divide half of it for the protein and half of it for the vegetables to saute. Okay. So make sure we're not using all of it into our marinade. Okay. So what I'm going to do here, I've got some garlic prep. So I know in the recipe, it says 4 garlic cloves. We love garlic in the family, so I'm going to use a little bit more. If you don't, please feel free to adjust down or adjust up if you want. Okay. So we know in the sauce, what goes in it, the ingredients that are going to go in the sauce is the teriyaki sauce, the honey, the vinegar, the sesame oil, the soy sauce, the garlic, and the ginger. So most of the ingredients are really going into the sauce. And then after that, you're kind of done because it's really just baking, letting the oven bake the protein and then doing the couscous. Okay, so it's a fairly easy recipe. What did I want to tell you? Okay, so I'm going to start kind of explaining to you how I prep the garlic. So I did peel these. There's one that's unpeeled. I'm going to show you how I prep this one. And I've also got my ginger here, and I'm going to show you how I mince it. Okay, you've got a couple of options. I mean, since we're all in our houses today, you could use a garlic press if you have that accessible to you. I know in a competition setting, this is not always accessible, or you might need to bring it with you. So I am going to show you the method with a knife. Okay. So we've peeled these. How do I get to peel a garlic clove? It can be really hard to peel some of them if the skin is really on, like it is stuck to the clove. So what you do is with your knife or with your hand, you can just press down on the garlic to break it a little bit. So I'm going to use the knife because it's usually more comfortable. Okay. And then it kind of breaks up the peel for you. You see, it becomes really easy to peel. All right. And I'm just going to throw this in the compost. You don't need to remove this end here. You can if you want to. I am going to. All right. And then what you do, so now we need to mince this garlic. So you're just going to start. First thing actually is I need to get better at this, but trying not to have your fingers all over the garlic clove because you really want to protect your fingers. Is what you can do is try to use your knuckles to stabilize the garlic. Okay. So that way if ever the knife gets close to your finger, it's really close to your knuckles, and it's a lot safer than having your finger exposed and getting a cut. Okay. So try to use your knuckles as much as possible. It's a little bit harder with smaller items like a garlic or a ginger, and it's a lot easier with a pepper, for example, or an onion where you have a lot of surface area to use your knuckles. Okay, so you're just gonna slice through lengthwise, just the way I'm doing it here. Okay, and then you're just gonna go the opposite direction and try to cut them small because we really want them minced. And the reason I like to use a bigger knife is because once I've got it mostly sliced like this, I can just go again with the knife, with my left hand on the top of the knife, and then kind of going and slicing the garlic in small little cubes. Let me know if you're having challenges with this. I'm going to continue on doing the rest of my garlics.
I'm not hearing any sirens, and
Good.
there's no chat about lost fingers yet. So
okay, good. That's awesome. Okay, and really, it doesn't really matter how small they are. Just do it to your preferred size. When you press them, you're going to get them a lot smaller if you use a garlic press, and it's a lot faster too. So it does save a little bit of time.
it's good to know, though, because teams on the road may not have brought their garlic press with them. So.
No, exactly. And,
yeah.
and the point, exactly. So that's why I'm just going to use this method just to show you, and I'll do all of them that way, because I know that not everybody will have access to this. So again, I'm going to cut it lengthwise, and then, oops, and then the opposite way.
That was one thing we found with the HelloFresh, was they never just used 1 or 2 cloves of garlic. It was always 4 or 5.
4 or 5, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I personally find it flavors the dish so much.
Yes.
But it is a strong flavor, so not everybody is used to it. So that's the beauty of this recipe. You'll see a lot of it is kind of tasting and adjusting too. So I do want you to have that autonomy to kind of adjust to your taste. Okay. And you can, if you want, but so if you noticed, the vegetables that we're using are frozen, and this also cuts your preparation time. Okay, so otherwise you would have had to get some fresh veggies, wash them, slice them, and then saute them, which works perfectly fine. So let's say you want to do this recipe again, you like it and you want to do it again during lockdown or in a situation where you're at home, totally fine. You may have some leftover veggies that you want to use up. You can use those instead of frozen mix. But again, for a competition situation, we just kind of want to make sure everything's easy peasy. There's no nutritional difference really, is there, between frozen? No, not at all. Not at all. So the Asian, all of the ones, the one I'm using and the one that's called for in the recipe is just plain vegetables. So my husband works in perishable logistics, so kind of freight forwarding of anything that's fruit, vegetable, and food related. But he knows that with the frozen veggie, they're actually frozen right at the peak of when they're the highest in nutritional value. They're, they haven't traveled anywhere. They haven't sat in a warehouse. They're just frozen right away. So it's actually a pretty good and healthy alternative. It doesn't lose any nutritional value. Does he deal at all with Peak of the Market brand from Manitoba? Do you know? What do they sell? It's based in Winnipeg, and they do fresh vegetables. So carrots, anything that can be grown in the Manitoba climate, corn, nice, beans, that kind of thing. It's called Peak of the Market? Peak of the Market, yes. Yeah. I will ask him. I don't know. Because there are a couple here
on the call from Manitoba, so I just thought. It would
Okay,
be-
okay. Well, if that company ships externally, then probably.
Yeah, they do. So good to know.
Yeah. But I will ask him, because there are a few competitors to this company, so maybe it's not
Yes.
someone else, but I will ask him. And if not, he'll probably want to get to know them, knowing.
There you go. A new customer.
Exactly. How's everybody doing with the garlic? I'm a little bit slow because I want to be careful also not to cut myself, but are you all done? Am I the slowest one here?
I forget who else was cooking. Owen was cooking and Kibo was cooking. How are you all doing with the garlic? They
I
must
may
be.
have used a bit of a hack, but I have like garlic that's already been minced.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. Good. So you're just watching us. Sorry.
Well, I'm putting the teriyaki sauce and all that in a bowl right now. But yeah, we just had some
Great.
minced garlic in the fridge.
Great. Okay.
Good job.
That's awesome. Just a note, guys, be careful. Again, kind of going back to if you've already skipped ahead. With the sauce, reading through the steps, it calls for just a tablespoon of the sesame oil, okay? Not all of it, because we're going to use some of it in the couscous and some of it in the veggies.
If you have an allergy to sesame oil, what is a good substitute?
And so I forgot to get sesame oil. I thought I had it in my kitchen and I don't. I'm going to use regular oil today.
Okay, so
I would, if you have an allergy to sesame, it's not going to have the same taste, unfortunately, because sesame oil has a very distinctive taste. I can look for you guys. I haven't looked to see if there's any good substitute that would have the same nutty flavor. I'll look and let you know, Andrea, and you can email everybody.
absolutely.
But today, for me today, I'm just using vegetable oil. I wouldn't use olive oil because it has a taste. So for today's recipe, I wouldn't, because it also has a distinctive taste and we don't want it to. This is more of an Asian flavored dish. Okay. So I've done the garlic. Just want to check in with everybody. Are you all okay? Can I move on to the ginger piece? Yep.
Yep, not hearing anything, so.
Okay, awesome. So I'm gonna move on to the ginger. So for the ginger, I've chopped a little bit already, minced a little bit already, sorry. And I've peeled apart. So this is how you're actually gonna get the ginger at the store. Now you might find some places that will sell ready-made ginger that only has ginger, it's in a container. You may need to look for it. You don't always find it. And then fresh is always nicer. And it's going to be a lot stronger in flavor. So if you like ginger, I recommend fresh. But if you do find it pre-prepared, minced already in a container, I mean, feel free to get that. It might just be a little bit more expensive. So that's how you get the ginger. You're going to use a smaller knife because it's easier. And then you're just going to peel it. Okay. So just go around and peel it. Try not to go too deep and just get the surface. Okay, so I've peeled mine already, but I just wanted to demonstrate this to you guys. And same thing as with the garlic, adjust up or down depending on how much you like. I might put a little bit here because I love ginger as well. So with the ginger, same thing. You can, I mean, you're all in your kitchens today, so I don't know if you have, I'm not going to use it again because I want to demonstrate how you would have done it in a situation where you don't have access to all of this equipment. But if you do have like a small grater, you don't need a huge grater like a big cheese one, but a small grater like this, where you would just kind of slice your ginger on top. That's a very fast way to do it. Otherwise, not to worry, we are going to use the knife again. Okay. And same as we did with the garlic, I'm just going to turn this way. We are going to start lengthwise, watch your fingers. And then again, the opposite direction, small pieces. And then keep on doing it until you're kind of happy with the size of your ginger until it looks minced. Which protein is everybody making today?
I love salmon, but I'm cooking for the family and they outvoted me for chicken.
What did you for chicken? Okay, awesome.
We have somebody else with chicken. Owen's got chicken.
Chicken. I thought chicken would be more popular. I had salmon on here because it's got some nutritional benefit. It's high in omega-3s, and I knew most people would be comfortable with cooking chicken, so I thought, hey, I'll just demonstrate the salmon.
Oh, somebody on Noah's cooking salmon.
Awesome. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I love salmon. Oh, Mia and Justine are cooking salmon as well.
Great. Okay, that's good. Okay, so I'm just going to finish off this little one here, and then I'll be able to combine all my ingredients in a bowl, and then we get to marinate.
Is it better to use a glass bowl than a metal bowl for marinating, Melissa? Or does it matter?
Well, I'm going to marinate in a Ziploc.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to but yeah, you could actually marinate them if it's a deep enough bowl.
It doesn't matter?
No, it doesn't matter. Yeah, just make sure it's deep enough so it's really, so the protein is getting with the sauce. It's
right.
well mixed.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm going to use a Ziploc. And you can just bring one with you from home. You don't need to buy a full pack.
That's what I've learned on curling trips. Never leave home without a pocket full of Ziplocs. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So you'd need a big one for I'm going to use a freezer type.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a bit thicker for the proteins we're making today. But I find that even the small ones are so practical if you want to put energy bites, if you want to put a trail mix. For sure. Or small containers. I mean, if you want to, sometimes I find there's these reusable bags nowadays that they're selling. I haven't tried them, but just to kind of be more environmentally friendly.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't tried these, but that can be an option too, if you've got those. Okay, so that's done. I'm going to bring my bowl over on my ingredients. Actually, I'm going to keep this here so that you can see what I'm doing. Just going to clean this up here.
I'm hoping everybody is cooking dinner for their family tonight.
Yeah, lucky family. So this is the bowl I'm going to use. And so oil, we need a tablespoon, remember, not all the 4 or 3 or 4.
And what's
soy sauce?
Soy sauce.
So I'm putting soy sauce. Thanks, Andrea.
Okay.
So I just put oil and I'm putting soy sauce now. I put 1.5, so it calls for 1 to 1.5 tablespoons of soy sauce. So I'm putting that in. I'm going to put the rice vinegar next. So it also calls for 2 tablespoons. So here we go. 2. Okay.
And you use rice vinegar because of the flavor. Is that correct, Melissa?
It's the flavor. Yeah.
Okay.
The soy sauce, so we don't use regular salt. We're going to use soy sauce because of the flavor.
Mm-hmm.
And the sesame oil, same. I find that if you like the flavor, if you don't have any allergies, it's delicious. And it's really going to add a nice flavor. So another little tip actually. So if you notice here, there's not a lot of honey stuck to my tablespoons.
Right.
Because I put the oil. So I put the oil first. So it was a pretty oily spoon. So it kind of just slid through.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah. So I don't know if this one's going to work the same, but
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so that's we're done with the honey, vinegar we did. Soy sauce we did, oil we did. So teriyaki sauce. Okay. Quarter cup. Oops. So this is my teriyaki sauce. I'm just going to put a quarter cup here. Okay. And then I'm just going to add ginger. This. And all the garlic. Let's see.
My mouth is watering.
Alrighty, so. Okay, put this away now. I don't need this anymore. Rinse. And so, again, you can whisk if you want. We're just gonna use a spoon here. Okay. So next what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring our protein out. This is my salmon and I'm going to get a Ziploc. All right, all of this, I'm just gonna remove and make some space for myself. How's everybody doing so far? Are there any questions? All good?
If I had that like pre-minced garlic, like you said, what kind of like, because the recipe says 4 cloves, but like,
Yeah.
do you know how much that would be for like minced if I were just use like tablespoons?
Oh, if it was like if you bought it minced?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I wouldn't, no, I don't know.
I
Google
think
mine.
I think on the jar it might say, I
Yeah.
think it might say like a half a teaspoon equals 1 clove, perhaps.
Yeah, that's what Mai said.
Oh, perfect. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just what we had in our fridge.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that saves a lot of time. So you must have just been watching me. Okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm just gonna bring the salmon out. I just don't wanna dirty my computer with raw fish. So
Thanks, Owen.
No problem.
I'm just gonna take the salmon out and put it in a Ziploc bag. Maybe actually what I'll do, so that you guys can see me. So, or I'm gonna use a fork so that way, again. Simple. Okay. Make sure you wash your hands after because you're obviously gonna get some salmon on you. Or you can use gloves, but so I'm just gonna kind of fold the bag, okay, just so that it makes it easier and I don't make a mess. Now I can easily put my salmon on here. There.
So how many ounces approximately is a serving of fish, a serving of salmon per person? Is it 5, 6?
Sorry, I know it in grams. 1 second.
Oh.
I think it's about 4, but
Okay.
typically I would say, which is not very big.
No.
Typically I would say 4 to 6,
Okay.
and then see how that goes. Yeah. So because 120 grams is about 6, is about 4 ounces, excuse me. And then you can go up to like 6 ounces. Or really an easy way to tell is just kind of making sure it's
Oh, the palm of
the
your hand.
size. So fish has less protein per gram.
Okay.
So a red meat or a chicken would be the palm of your hand, but a fish can be
The
kind of
full.
lengthwise. Obviously, these are thick, so I mean they're lengthwise, but they're also thick pieces, right? So it'd be
Right.
kind of a flatter hand size of
Right.
fish. So I'm just gonna pour half of it. I'm just gonna estimate here that I'm just gonna take half of my sauce and the rest is gonna go for my vegetables. I'm just stirring because there was a bit of honey at the bottom. A little bit more. Okay. And then what you can do is you can just massage it a little bit. This so you can see. Okay. Where's everybody at?
Has everybody got their protein in the marinade?
When you're closing your Ziploc bags, make sure that you're getting rid of all the air.
Yep, everybody's moving along.
Awesome. Okay. Perfect. So I'm going to leave this here just for 15 minutes. So it's okay if you keep it at room temperature. And I'm going to come back to it later. So we're going to move on to our energy bites. So that way they can sit in the fridge and then they're ready for dessert. So I'm going to go back to my meal. Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna take a bowl. And what's nice about energy bites is you just dump all of the ingredients together. So this recipe calls for peanut butter. I've got almond butter here, but really any nut butter works. I know there was someone who's allergic to nuts. So in that case, you can use soy butter, okay? And it's very nutritious. It's got the same consistency, so you can just substitute the same amount. We need some vanilla extract, some chocolate chips, some cocoa powder, and some Rice Krispies. A lot of these, the Rice Krispies in the back, I'm just gonna scoop a cup of Rice Krispies because it's gonna take the most space. So the recipe calls for Rice Krispies, but you can use any cereal you want. If you want this energy bite to be a little bit higher in fiber, you can use bran flakes. Really, any cereal will work. But the brown rice cereal, the rice cereal or the brown rice cereal will probably be nice because they'll kind of hold nicely. You can do oats as well as a substitute. So we're just gonna put a cup. So that's my cup size of Rice Krispies that I'm just going to pour into the bowl. Okay. And then I used honey because we don't really use syrup, like brown rice syrup at home. So I don't usually have any recipes that call for it. So I didn't want to get it. So I'm just going to use some honey. Okay. And I need a new tablespoon. This one. So it's 3 tablespoons of that.
Who gets to lick the spoon after the honey's finished?
I guess I do.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it's fine. end of the honey that we have.
Could you use solid honey as well if you creamed honey, if you maybe warmed it up a bit?
Warmed it up?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could. Yeah. You do want to like something liquid, right? So the
Right.
brown rind syrup is a little bit more liquidy than the honey, which is why this is going to be a little stickier.
Okay.
You could do maple syrup.
Ah.
But yeah, you do want something liquid so that you're really binding all the ingredients together.
Right.
The peanut butter is going to help too.
Okay. And I noticed the recipe said natural peanut butter.
Yes.
Could you use Jif or
The
Kraft or
the smooth.
the smooth? And if you did, would you reduce the amount of honey or other sweetener?
That's a very good question. So the smooth one, you know, the one that's not all natural will have a little bit of sugar.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't. You probably
Okay.
need the same amount of liquids to bind everything.
Right.
Probably just going to taste a bit sweeter, a bit saltier, because that peanut butter has a bit of salt and sugar.
Okay.
But I wouldn't say it's going to significantly taste saltier and sweeter. It's just a
Okay.
bit. Yeah. So I'm going to start with the peanut butter, the almond butter, sorry. So mine is brand new, so there's going to be oil on top, because this one's natural. So make sure if you're using a natural one that you're stirring it.
Don't you hate those lids?
I do. I'm just gonna, or not, maybe it will make a lot of sound. Be mindful for you guys. Let's try with the knife. Very thick one, very thick seal. Sorry, guys. Okay. That was the oil, but I saved it.
Well, nobody's been tampering with it anyway.
Exactly. Alrighty. We did a Costco trip yesterday, so got this from Costco. Okay, so I need water. So I'm just gonna give it a bit of a stir.
Do you refrigerate your almond butter once it's opened?
Yes, so any
Okay.
natural, very good question, Andrea. Any natural peanut butter, almond butter, as soon as you open it, does need to be refrigerated.
Okay. And is it you're using almond butter? Do you just prefer almond butter as opposed to peanut butter, or was it just?
Yes,
Okay.
honestly, the main reason we picked it out yesterday is because the peanut butter comes in two.
Okay.
And we don't need, like, it's just the two of us right now.
Right.
We don't need that much. So I just was like trying to save space in my pantry and fridge and got the almond butter. But I also do prefer the almond butter personally.
Mhm.
I like to change it up. Okay.
My
Kinda go
daughter
with what you
prefers it too, but it's hard to get here in Kenora.
Oh, really? Is it? You know, you can make your own.
Oh, that
It
would
would.
involve work.
It would. You need a blender and some almonds. I
Mhm.
think the one I have here is our roasted almonds, but it's really just blending the almonds
Mhm.
together, and then
And there's nothing you add to it. You don't add any.
nothing. No.
Okay.
So mine might look a little darker than everybody else's because if you're using peanut butter, I think it's going to be lighter. So I'm just scooping out the peanut butter, putting it into my bowl. Right, perfect. I'm just going to use a spatula because it's going to help kind of take out all the little yummy last bits. Okay. Just putting these in the sink. And a little bit of a trick that I personally like to do is when I'm cooking and I'm putting some things in the sink that I've already used, is just rinse them slightly so that they don't end up drying out, and then it becomes even harder to remove when you're doing the dishes. So especially with the peanut butter stuff, I just rinse it with water so that it's kind of not drying out after.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're gonna put half a teaspoon. Vanilla extract. And that goes. Chocolate chips. Okay, my tablespoon's dirty, so I'm just gonna put 3 of these. So each 3 teaspoons is a tablespoon because my tablespoon's dirty. Okay. So we're gonna put this. And I've got my cocoa powder as well. How much do we need? A teaspoon. Perfect. So I'm using here unsweetened because we've already had some sweetener added, but you could, I mean, even if you have some hot cocoa mix, you could put a bit of a teaspoon. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some gloves because I think it's going to make it a little easier.
What is in the bottle that's left on the counter? Did I miss?
This is, yeah, 1 second. I'll be right with you. This one?
Yes.
This is vanilla extract.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I missed that.
That's okay. No, I like that you're keeping me attentive and making sure I don't miss an ingredient. Thank you, Andrea. I actually appreciate it. This was vanilla extract. We put half a teaspoon in there. How's
Okay.
everybody doing with the bites?
Has anybody tasted their bites yet? Not supposed to, but did you?
Almost got everything in the bowl.
Oh, good for you.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm just gonna get started here, mixing everything together with my spatula. I like to use spatula instead of a wooden spoon. I know I have that on there on the equipment as an option, but the spatula is nice because it doesn't stick. Nothing will stick to it, and it's easy to get the food off of it. And sometimes I find wooden spoons, especially if you use them for cooking, like they may have like a bit of, like they'll take the flavor of the food, like they'll have onion flavor or garlic flavor, which can come onto your energy bites. So you don't want that.
Now, these energy bites would be, how would they be for a fifth end or fourth end break snack?
Great question. So we're going to talk about that towards the end. But
Okay.
since you asked it, we'll maybe I'll leave it up to someone to answer. What do you guys think? Do you think that would be a good idea for a fifth end break, or when would you have these energy bites in a competition setting?
Come on, folks, don't be shy. No wrong answers.
Anyone?
Their hands must all be full of energy
Yes,
bites at the
energy
moment.
bites. I've got my plate here. I'm just going to wet my hands a little bit so it doesn't stick. So to answer your question, Andrea, yes, these would be really good. That was kind of part of the reflections that I wanted to discuss with everybody, is that it would be a great snack for a fifth end break to bring with you.
We did get an answer from somebody and they agreed fifth end would be great.
Yes, would be great, exactly.
So how big are you making them now?
I think golf ball size. So
Okay.
I may have wet my hands a bit too much because, but no, this stuck perfectly. Okay, great. The size, guys?
Nice.
something like that. We'll
Yeah.
see how much it makes me. I'm supposed to get 8 or something like that. We'll see. Might get a bit more.
Would
You
you?
can make them a bit bigger too if you want. So, I mean, there's no right or wrong. Yes, sorry, Andrea, you had a question.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, could you add dried fruit to them if you wanted as well?
Yes. So what I like about Energy Bites is really you can adapt the recipe. So let's say you want to make them with different cereal. You can make it with a different cereal, higher fiber. So let's say you want to add a bit of fiber to these. Okay. I'd probably say competition setting, these are great because the Rice Krispie is not a very high fiber cereal.
Right.
None of the ingredients in here are very high fiber. So they're all very easy to digest. Okay. But let's say you want to make this more on a training day or a snack for you to fuel on throughout the day, you can. And you can, so in that case, fiber might be useful. So something like a high fiber cereal with some dried fruits, which will add a bit more fiber as well, instead of the chocolate chips, or a little bit of both. And that should keep you full. So the benefit of adding that and having a bit more fiber is that it's going to keep you full for longer. Right? The point of this food, so the Rice Krispie, the chocolate chip, the honey that we added, yes, it combines everything, but also they're quick carbs, right? Which is what you need in a competition setting. You don't want high fiber, otherwise you're going to feel bloated. It's going to upset your stomach.
Somebody suggested maybe they could use chunky peanut butter and hemp hearts.
Yes, that's a good idea too. That makes them even more nutritious. So do you guys know what are the nutrition benefits of Hemp Hearts?
I certainly don't and was going to ask. So good segue.
So what's nice about the chunky peanut butter is that it gives you a little bit of a crunch, if you like that. And waiting to see if anybody has any feedback on the Hemp Hearts. Nope. Okay, so Hemp Hearts are great because they're seeds that are high in protein, and they've got healthy fats as well. So they're rich in omega-3s. What omega-3s will do, so for those of you who have salmon today, will have a good boost of omega-3. It's really anti-inflammatory. And as athletes, especially in a situation where there's high training demands, there's school, there's work, inflammation goes up in the body naturally. You can't control it. And so when you've got these omega-3s in your body, it helps kind of reduce inflammation. And when it's reduced, it promotes recovery. Okay, so it's a really good way to get omega-3s. And hemp hearts are high in that. Salmon is high in that. Peanut butter, almond butter is high in omega-3s. So you'll get all those healthy fats from those foods. And then the nice thing about hemp hearts is that they're also high protein. So you'll get a bit of a boost of protein. Okay, how many have I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think I can do, I got 9, but it's gonna be small. So I might do a bigger one. How are you guys doing? Okay, my last one's gonna be really big. Actually, I might split it in half. Okay.
So if your stuff isn't sticking together well enough, what does that mean?
What did you use for sweetener? Rice syrup?
I think I used honey.
You used honey. Maybe add a bit more peanut butter.
Sounds good. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
That was the same question that somebody else just asked as well. They're not staying together. So, and he used honey as well. So adding extra peanut butter will help.
Adding extra peanut butter then will work. Try not to press too hard on them too, guys, right? So mine are sticking nicely.
And when you put them in the fridge, they'll firm up a little bit, correct?
Yes, you can do freezer or fridge. I'm gonna do, my freezer is so full, so I'm gonna do fridge. But you can put them in the freezer and they'll probably firm up really nicely by the time we're done the main meal. Okay, so try not to press very hard. If I'm gonna press hard on this, it's gonna break. Okay, so it is delicate, I agree. But when you're making them, it's really just a very soft pressure to make it into a ball. All right, and I did wet my gloves a little bit, but don't overdo the wetness, because also when you wet your hands, what that helps with is that it doesn't stick on your hands. But if you wet your hands too much, then it's also not going to stick. Okay, so light pressure and just a bit of water on your hands, or if you're finding it's not sticking at all, just don't put any water. Dry your hands. I'm just gonna put some water into my bowl again to make sure that it's not sticking when I'm gonna make my dishes later. How are you guys doing? Did it work?
Getting there.
Get in there.
Are you eating it, Kibo, while you're doing it?
No. Some other things I might, but not this stuff.
Okay.
Excuse me, guys. I just dropped my garlic. Salt. Oh, fridge is full. Okay. Is it working? Any updates on the energy bites?
Well, I think they either have their mouths full or they're busy still making the balls, because nobody is.
Let me know if it's still giving you a hard time or if it's still not working.
Going
Just gonna
good.
walk-
We've
Going
got it
good.
going good. Yeah.
What about everybody else? Are we all okay? Are you still working on the energy bites?
Still got to make just a few more into balls.
No worries. Okay, we'll wait for everybody. So I'm just gonna clean this up because I made a mess.
I like that you have scissors on your fridge.
Yeah.
That's a great
So
idea.
quick packaging, yeah.
I can never find scissors.
I don't even know where we got these actually. We've had them forever, but they've got this magnetic thing in the back, so I can just stick it. Yeah, it's pretty practical. Okay, so I've put my energy bites in the fridge. Anybody who's having difficulty, please let me know.
We have a question. What are the benefits of adding the cocoa powder to the bites?
A very good question. So one, it adds flavor. So that's the pleasurable part about the cocoa powder. But the other thing is that it's high in antioxidants. Okay, so in the energy bite, you've got kind of a few anti-inflammatory foods that are going into this recipe. We've got the nut butter. The more natural the nut butter is, actually, that's another benefit of going with natural peanut or almond butter, is that it's going to have more of those antioxidants, because nuts do have antioxidants. You're going to get that through your cocoa powder. I think that was it in terms of the ingredients that are high in antioxidants. And what these do, same as the omega-3s, so what these nutrients do, they're basically vitamins and minerals, and they reduce inflammation in the body. Okay, so same thing when you're training, high volume, got a lot going on, very busy schedule, inflammation just naturally goes up, and that can tend to either weaken your immune system, slow down your recovery, and then it just adds a little bit of additional nutrition there when you've got the cocoa powder. And then it tastes good. Okay, let me know when you guys are ready to move on. Just want to make sure that I'm not leaving anybody behind. Any other questions that you have, please let me know.
Dick, we can't hear you. Do you have your, no, you have it on.
Me?
Yeah, you were saying
Do you have any
something.
questions?
Yeah, no, I was just going to ask a question.
Yeah.
In the next step, when we put this salmon into the oven.
Oh,
what
you're ahead.
level-
Yes.
No, I'm not ahead. I just was a question I didn't want to forget to ask.
Okay.
What
gotcha.
level of oven rack do you use?
Good question. I was
Does
just
it
going to use the
matter?
middle one. Middle one. Middle rack.
The middle
Yeah.
rack?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, good. I'll burn my hand switching.
Actually, I forgot to put on there, oven mitts is important for on the equipment needed. I mean, we're all at home today. I'm sure you have one, but don't forget to add that on. In a situation where you're traveling, if you want, I'll amend this and I'll change it and resend it to you guys. So how's everybody doing? Can we move along?
Looking at the chat and I'm not.
I just finished with the energy bites.
Awesome. They worked. They're okay.
Yeah, the extra peanut butter really helped.
Okay, perfect. Okay, cool. Everybody else, you doing okay? Can we move on? Yes, we are ready. Me and Justine. Okay. Ready. Okay, awesome. All right, so got my little baking tray here. So I am gonna move on to, we're gonna bake this because it does need to bake. So salmon needs to bake for 15 to 20 minutes. So let's set the timer for 20. Okay, make sure it's well baked. Anybody who's making chicken, which I know is the majority, you're gonna bake it for 20 to 25. Okay, so set the timer to 25 minutes. Make sure you have this on your phone or somewhere so that we don't forget it in the oven, just because we might get distracted with questions or other things. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I've got my salmon marinated and easy peasy. I'm just gonna pour everything. Well, mine has the skin on, so I'm gonna need to adjust it back. Just make sure you get all the little bits of the sauce, the garlic, the ginger. Get everything. Okay. Yeah. And then what I'm gonna do is just with a fork, spoon, whatever you want, is just fix them up. Make sure they're all steady. There's sauce all over my pan so it doesn't dry out.
Did you prepare the pan at all, like with cooking spray or oil or anything? ahead of
Didn't.
time?
I mean,
Okay.
there's oil in the sauce and the salmon. I mean, you know what? You might want to, if you want, you could, I mean, everything's marinated. If you want, you can put a little bit of oil for the chicken. Salmon has enough fat that I feel it's gonna be fine, and it's got the skin on. But maybe for those of you who are doing the chicken, guys, just drizzle just a tad of sesame oil if you want on top, because that's the oil we used, just to make sure it doesn't stick. But I don't think it's a must, but just to be safe, let's do that.
And you're using a glass, like rectangular baking pan there?
Yes, this is a glass one. So you would need something just a bit, that's a bit deep, not too shallow. What are you guys using? Is it similar to what you're using, or?
Sorry, I just went to grab a glass one.
Okay. Yes, glass, kind of deep, making sure that it's got, yeah, not those shallow baking one for the cookies. That one will be too shallow. Okay, not the flat ones. Okay, so I'm gonna put this in the oven. Perfect. Owen has something very similar. Great. So this goes into the oven. And then next, I think I'm gonna have to move my computer so that you can see me. I'll adjust this way. Okay. So I'm just gonna remove it. and then middle of the rack, okay?
Mhm.
So I'm gonna put the timer on. 20 chicken, put it on for 25. And we're gonna let this go. Okay, so that's worked. Everybody's ready to move on to the next step? Someone's phone's ringing.
Yeah, it's mine. I'm just going to ignore it. My husband's upstairs. If he doesn't get to it, it doesn't matter.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I know in the recipe we actually did the veggies, like it says to do the veggies first. So we're gonna do that now, okay? We just kind of, I think it saves time to do the protein first. So we're gonna move on to fry our frozen veggies into a frying pan. You're gonna need the remaining tablespoon, not all of it, maybe a tablespoon or a tablespoon and a half of sesame oil. And then we'll add the sauce later. Okay, perfect. Make sure you guys are good to go. Let me make sure you can also see me. Put the sauce kind of next to you as well, so you'll have it accessible. Okay, is this clear?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. I'm just gonna go ahead into my freezer. Got my frozen vegetables. So, with some, I'm just breaking them apart. So I've got my Asian mix here. Whatever you guys use is awesome. This is 750 grams. So I don't know what you guys have. Do you all have like a 500 gram pack or a big pack? And you're gonna just kind of estimate, or
I've got a 750, same as you.
same as me, okay? Everybody else?
I've got a 500.
Perfect. So you can put, so for those of you who have a bit of a bigger bag, just kind of use 2/3. Also, not bad if you use the full bag, it's okay, I think that should be fine. Before I add this, I actually need to heat my with some olive oil. So I'm just gonna do what I instructed you to do, which is read my instructions. Okay, so we're gonna heat the frying pan over medium heat. We're gonna add a tablespoon of sesame oil. Heat. Okay, so I'm just adding tablespoon to a tablespoon and a half of, I've got vegetable oil here, but you guys are gonna use sesame. Right, heat this up. You can kind of, I don't know if you guys can see me.
Yep, we can
Now
see.
just move the pan just to make sure that the oil is covering the surface of the pan. This is a bit of a big pan that I used for the amount of vegetables I'm doing, but you probably have used a smaller one, but just make sure you kind of move it around so that it's got, the oil is covering most of the surface. Okay, so just let it heat for a bit, just a few more seconds here, and then we can add the veggies. My spoon. Okay, I've got my wooden spoon ready as well. And I'm just gonna add my veggies. So what we want is we want the veggies to defrost, get rid of the liquid, the water that's going to come out. That's done. We stop.
So you're just kind of stir frying them, right, Melissa?
Yes, I am.
Are you using a non-stick frying pan or a regular frying pan?
Mine is supposed to be non-stick, but it's a bit old.
Oh,
Not anymore, but yes, I do recommend non-stick. I'm just breaking up the veggies, the ones that are sticking, the clumps that are sticking together. And just keep stirring so that it really gets defrosted a lot. Sauce just yet until it's completely frosted, starting to fry. Good. More questions?
not so far.
It's my heat a little bit.
Does anyone else use the smoke detector as their timer besides me?
That's funny.
I turned mine off.
I do that too. And then I leave it right where I can see it so that I can plug it back in before after I'm finished cooking.
Mine are a little frozen still, so I'm just kind of continuing to stir until I really get them cooked through.
So far all you've done is the sesame oil,
Olive
correct?
oil. Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
sesame oil.
Yeah.
Actually, I used such just saying it, but yeah, sesame oil so far. That's it.
Is there any nutritional difference between, say, sesame oil and canola, corn oil?
Yes. You've got your canola oil is going to be high in omega-3s,
Mm-hmm.
vegetable oil, corn oil. I mean, and canola actually. I mean, all of these oils, the vegetable oil, the corn oil, the canola oil, you can kind of fry things up in this.
What
You
was
guys
that?
okay? Is everybody okay? Someone just screamed.
Oh,
Is there a kitchen emergency? Did someone burn themselves?
hope not.
Okay, I'm gonna continue to fry, and I really want to get the water kind of to dry out a little bit. So if you guys are ahead, you can add the sauce, but if not, I really just want to make sure that my veggies that the water has kind of that came out of my veggies. So sorry, I was saying about the
different kinds of oils.
different kind of oils. I'm just going to increase the heat a little bit so it's a bit faster. And feel free, guys, if this is taking long as well, feel free to increase the heat a little bit. It seems like I can heat a bit higher. But yeah, so canola is high in omega-3s, but then the canola, the corn, the vegetable oil, they're good for frying at high temperature, whereas you wouldn't want to do that with olive oil because it's going to burn the food. Sesame oil is also good for frying. I don't know what the nutritional benefits of sesame oil is, so I'm going to get back to you on that. There's not a lot of, they're usually just different amounts of unsaturated fats for all of the oils. The highest would be your olive oil, canola, and then the rest are a little bit lower.
Okay.
But really, you're using different kinds of oil for different purposes. So, pink, high heat, sesame, vegetable, canola can be used. Olive oil mostly, if you're frying on medium to low heat, I would say, or in salad dressing is the best. So really using it raw. Yeah. And then vegetable or canola oil can be used for baking as well. So it's finally starting to sizzle. So I should have put my heat to medium. So it's yours is sizzling, it's a good sign. And you just want to wait for the water to just get evaporated a little bit.
Does avocado oil have any benefit over any of the other
that's a cheaper
oils?
one. Yes. Just also higher in unsaturated fats. Very, very beneficial too. And you can also just use it with high heat.
Mm-hmm.
If you're frying, it won't burn the food.
Next time I get to Costco, I'll pick some up.
Yes, I know Costco has a couple of frying oils. Everybody okay, guys? Any questions? Any challenges you're having so far?
When should we add the sauce?
If yours is sizzling and the water, most of the water has evaporated, don't forget there should be a bit of oil, so that's okay. But if most of the water has evaporated, you can add the sauce, fry for a few seconds, and then you can just kind of let it sit. And then we'll move on to doing the couscous, which is the last step of the recipe.
Gotcha. Yeah, mine, there's not too much water, but the sizzling hasn't quite started yet.
Maybe increase the heat a little bit, but they're dry. It's dry.
No, it's not dry.
Okay, so then they haven't defrosted maybe. So up the heat a little bit. Are they defrosted?
They're defrosted, yeah, but not quite dry.
Okay. So just up the heat a bit. Make sure you're not burning, okay? So you're watching closely because you're upping the heat. Like
Gotcha.
the line, I think you can hear it. It's sizzling.
Yep.
Almost dry. And I think the heat helps with that, okay? For me. So try one. Chris. What? Just to do that. Okay, okay. So mine are a bit crunchy. That's how I want them to be. You can try, guys, a little bit. My water is dry. I'm going to show you.
Oh, it
This
looks
is clear.
delicious. Look at the colors.
My water is dry. I mean, they're crunchy. They're not overly soggy. They have a bit of a soggy consistency, but they're still crunchy. But that's because they're frozen, okay? So it's not going to be similar to fresh veggies. But just make sure you got rid of the water that came out of it. That's the key. All right? So I'm going to lower the heat now because I really don't want it to overcook. Now that I've gotten rid of the water, while I'm on low heat, at this point, I'm just letting it stay warm and I'm adding my salt, okay? If you want, you could try it out. If you need to adjust, any soy sauce you want to add, any sauce you want to add. I feel there's enough sauce in here. I'm going to turn, it's quite high heat, so I turned the heat off because I don't want the veggies to cook, okay? So now I'm just stirring with the heat off. And I'm stirring down. I'm just going to do a taste test. To see, so this is really going to keep the garlic and the ginger quite fresh, which is really nice. Give it a test, see if I need to add anything, mainly salt. That's what I'm worried about. Make sure you don't burn your tongue. Trying it. I'm happy with how this tastes. I might add a bit more soy sauce personally. So feel free to add a bit more. The soy sauce is really going to add the salt, okay? So don't add too much so that it doesn't become too salty if you feel you need to add. This soy sauce is really concentrated in sodium, so it's going to add a lot of salt at the same time. How are we doing, guys?
Everybody doing okay?
So I'll show you. That's what mine looks like with the sauce.
Oh, it looks so good.
Okay, is everybody okay?
Doing good.
Okay, you can come. Actually,
Where do you live so we can come and eat yours?
we're not. How's it going with yours? Is it not the way it's supposed to be? Or that's not like mine?
It'll be fine.
That's funny. Everybody okay? Any questions for the veggies, guys? I'm still working on it. Let me know when most of you are ready to move on.
Everybody got their veggies cooked? Owen, Harry? Mia, Justine?
Yeah, good to go.
Good to go?
Good to go.
Okay.
Awesome. So for the salmon, for those who are making salmon, I've got 20 seconds left on my salmon. So before I move on to make the couscous, which is gonna take just 5 minutes. I'm just gonna check on how my salmon's doing. For those of you who have chicken, you probably have 5 more minutes. So where's my, here it is. Okay. So to check if salmon is ready. Here's my timer.
Here's a question, Melissa. Should they take the veggies off the heat or just turn the heat off?
Turn the heat off. I have mine still on the same, like on the stove where I was cooking it, but I turned the heat off.
Right. So it'll
That way it
that
keeps it warm.
right. Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna taste it a bit. So for the salmon, I'm gonna try to show you guys. What you're looking for is you're gonna insert a fork and you want the flesh to kind of be flaky. So mine is a little bit wet still. So I'm gonna show you what that means. So this is the salmon. I hope you can see.
Yes, we can see.
It's a little wet. You see that? It's still not fully, I mean, part of it is cooked through. That's nice. But I'm going to keep it another 5 minutes, okay? Just to be sure that it's well cooked.
Those were lovely, thick fillets.
They are pretty thick, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
some of you, if it's kind of looking dry when you put the fork and it's flaky flesh, it kind of flakes easily, then you can take it out, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I've got an electric kettle here, so I'm just going to boil my water and move on to the couscous. And I just want to make sure.
I made couscous the other night for the first time. And it
Did
was
you? How did you?
It was so easy. Like it's so much
So
easier
easy.
than rice.
So easy.
Yes.
So I've got my couscous right here. All right, I'm just gonna put this here. I'm boiling water. Make sure that you've got the right amount with the electric kettle. So the electric kettle, you might want to get it with you if you have one at home, because it makes things faster when you're making this recipe, okay? And that's it. We just need to add some salt into our couscous so that it doesn't taste very bland. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. And then again, you're gonna use sesame oil. I'm gonna use my vegetable oil. So I've got the plate here. This is the plate that I'm going to use to cover the couscous.
So that's about a tablespoon of,
It's about a tablespoon.
okay. And how much salt did you use? I'm sorry. Was it a teaspoon?
Half a teaspoon.
Half a teaspoon? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm just gonna add my water. And you're really just gonna let it sit, okay? Mix it in, give it a quick stir. Let's use the oil. You want to over stir a bit, and then I'm going to cover it. It's very important to cover it. Let the heat steam it, okay? That's it. And we're going to leave this for 5 minutes. And wait until the salmon's baked. Who is doing chicken? There's a few of you who are doing chicken. How's that going? Is it cooked through? Do you have questions about whether it's cooked or not? No, y'all good?
I find a meat thermometer is one of my best cooking friends.
It is. So it's actually pretty useful. So if you do have one of these, you do want to insert your thermometer in the thickest part of your meat. And then I think it was 165. what we're looking for, yeah, 165 internal temperature. If there's bone, if ever you meat on the bone, make sure the thermometer is not touching the bone. And then that's the best way to know if that your meat or your fish is safely cooked. That for chicken, you can cut through a piece or a thick piece. And really the juices that run through it are gonna have to be clear, no pinkish for chicken. Okay, I'm gonna have a look at my salmon here. Okay, now. Yeah. So it kind of falls apart nicely. Mine is not too dry. It's perfect. I'm going to show you what it looks like.
There is a question, Melissa. What does the
Yes.
temperature need to be for the chicken? I think you said 160.
165.
165.
Fahrenheit.
Okay.
Yeah. I just want to show you. For the salmon, this. So this is how,
Oh, it looks lovely.
still flaky,
Mhm.
but okay, but kind of cooked through.
Yep.
That's what you're looking for, right? Let me know if you have questions. My couscous is almost done. Actually, I'm flaking it with a spoon, but you're supposed to flake it with a fork because it breaks it apart more easily. That's all.
Yeah, fluffs it a little, eh?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So here's my couscous. How are you guys doing? Let me know if you're ready and I can kind of add the couscous to the veggies. You don't have to add the couscous to the veggies, but I'm going to do that. You can kind of keep things separate and plate it if you want. I'm going to add mine. I'm just going to try the couscous to make sure everything's okay. Okay, perfect.
It's got a bit of a nuttier flavor, doesn't it?
It does have a bit of a nutty flavor.
Yeah.
Exactly. If you want to add a bit of sesame, if you feel it's a bit dry, go ahead. But we are going to add it to the sauce. I'm going to add mine to the sauce, so I'm not going to add anything to it. I'm happy with it. Where's everybody at?
Just got the chicken out of the oven.
Awesome. I'm going to add my couscous to the veggies. Now the couscous absorbs all liquids, so it's going to keep absorbing liquids. So you don't worry if you feel it dried up, like the liquid dried up. It's normal. How are you guys doing? Questions? Things not going right? Going right?
How do you know when the couscous is ready?
So it would have absorbed all the water that you put. Okay. It usually shouldn't take more than 5 minutes.
Okay.
So it would have absorbed all the water. Use a fork to flake it. And then you should just see kind of the clumps break up. You can try it. It should feel soft when you're trying it, not hard, not crunchy. Is that where you're at?
And then we have another question. What's the nutritional difference between rice and couscous?
Good question. I don't think there's a big difference. They're both very good sources of carbohydrates, and they're both fairly easy to digest, which is why you could do rice too.
Mhm.
They're both kind of, for today's recipe, you could have gone with rice. It's just that you would need a stovetop. Most people don't like to cook rice because it's just harder,
Mhm.
but you could use that as well. They're very similar and both have carbohydrates that are easy to digest.
Is there any more protein in couscous than there is in rice, or not
I don't
really?
think so. No, I don't
Okay.
think so.
Okay,
No.
both the same. Okay.
Quinoa
Oh,
on
that's
the
what
other
I'm
hand,
thinking.
just
Quinoa,
quinoa will
yes.
have protein. It's a pretty good grain. I don't know how it would taste with this recipe, but it's a pretty good grain to have.
Okay.
Yeah.
And all three would be good for somebody who is avoiding gluten.
So couscous is not gluten-free.
Oh,
Good question.
okay.
Yes, I think couscous, I'm pretty sure couscous is made from semolina.
Okay.
So semolina has gluten in it, so it's not gluten-free. Rice is gluten-free, quinoa is gluten-free, and quinoa will have protein as
Okay.
well as an additional nutrient benefit, and it has also a nutty flavor.
Okay.
They're all very easy to cook. It's the quinoa and the rice need to be on the stovetop, or you could have a rice cooker, and then
Mhm.
the couscous is just one less
Pot
thing
to
worry
clean.
about. So
Yeah.
one less pot to clean, exactly. Just a bowl. How are you guys doing?
So we're adding the boiling water to the couscous, sesame oil, and salt, right?
Right.
Yes.
And we're keeping that separate from the veggies.
You can add it. No, yeah. If you haven't cooked the couscous yet, in the bowl,
Right.
the glass bowl.
And then once we've cooked it, then we add it to the veggies.
Yes, or you can keep it separate if you want, but you can. I've added mine to the veggies. I did that because I actually want to taste, see if I need to add anything to it. That's why I like to do that. Okay. Perfect. Not gonna add anything to it.
How's everybody doing? Are you getting close to having it ready to manger?
To manger. I'm gonna plate mine so that we can see it. It's a good idea.
Everything is ready.
Awesome. Everything.
Well, we've got two that are saying good. One that says good, says everything is ready. Looks
Yay.
good. We have a looks good.
Great. Do you want to try it? Do a taste test. See if you want to add anything, any soy, any teriyaki sauce. Adjust it to what you like, guys.
Ready to go, just have to open the wine.
Yay! Awesome.
Awesome. Hope to have one.
Great. Love it.
Have one for me, Dick.
I'm just gonna plate mine so that you guys can see, but so I've got my couscous. It's cooked up. Then you can add your salmon or chicken. Guys, are you fine with the chicken? Because I didn't cook that today, so I just want to make sure.
As long as we're cutting through it and it's clear on the inside, we're good, right? For the chicken?
No pink. Yeah, the flesh is not pink.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
The people in Manitoba are holding off on the veggies as it's still too early there to eat. But the chicken smells great.
So sorry, what do you mean? Is it
Well, it's
the
only
veggies?
no, it's only 4:40 in Manitoba. It's not 5:40.
Got it. Yes.
Yeah. Time difference.
Okay.
So
Yes, hold off on the veggies, no problem.
yeah.
No problem.
And then there's a
but-
question, can soy sauce be added to the couscous if you want?
Of course, yeah, that's the point. So that's why I added everything to the veggies, because I want to taste how it is with the sauce. And I did add more soy sauce for mine too. So please add more if you feel you want to add more. If you want a bit more salty kick. Don't add add slowly, just because it is quite concentrated in salt. So that way you can just adjust and not it being too salty. So feel free to do that. What did I want? Like my salmon. Okay. Did anybody try? Okay, this is what mine looks like. I'll show you. Got my
Oh,
couscous.
Looks
Got my salmon. I
delicious.
didn't try my salmon. You can taste the garlic. It's perfectly cooked.
And it just falls right off the skin underneath,
It-
right?
Yes, it does. You
Okay.
can also remove it if you. Oh, it did. Mine did. The skin is still on the
On the pan?
on the pot. Yeah, on the pan.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. How are you guys doing? Do you like what you're tasting? Do you have questions?
If you'd like to open up your mics now, you can.
I'm going to share my screen. And I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say about the recipes if you've tried them. Any thoughts? Happy, not happy? Any adjustments that needed to be made? Still working on it.
Mia and Justine, is it something you think that your mom and dad will eat?
I thought it was really good. We just gave some energy balls to the neighbors, so
Oh.
we'll see if she survives.
Awesome. I'm actually going to check in on my energy bites as well.
That's what they're called. You should have told you that. Smells delicious.
Good.
Good to hear, Donna.
I'm ready to eat.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
How's everybody else doing? Would you guys make this?
We did.
Oh yeah. Sorry. I mean, would you make it again? Let's say in a competition setting. And did you enjoy
Yes.
the process? Did you feel it was just the right amount of things to do, or too much? Or what is your reflection on this?
I thought it was really good. It got a little quick there at the end when we were stirring our veggies and I couldn't see the screen.
Yes.
But other than that, it was great.
Okay. Cool. Good.
What's your email address? So we can let you know tomorrow how we're feeling.
Yeah. Let me know tomorrow. It's a good how it digested and how you're. I'm gonna give my email address in the end. You'll have my contact.
I'm sure it'll be great. I'm sure it'll be great. Thank you very, very much.
Good. I'm happy. My pleasure. So just a couple of things that I wanted to end with, and then I'll show you how my energy bites look because I just took them out of the fridge. But this recipe, if we think back to some of the things we talked about last week, we've got some vegetables in here, not too much, right? Because again, you're in a setting where you want a quick recovery. You want some vegetables for vitamins, minerals, antioxidant support, again, to reduce inflammation, speed up recovery, but you don't want to feel too bloated either. So just some vegetables, and you've got the couscous that's going to give you the carbohydrate, and then your protein. So it's a pretty balanced meal that you can make the evening after you're done with your games, or you can prep ahead, especially in situations like a day where you have 3 games, and then obviously you're not going to come and cook at 10 p.m. But having that ready, let's say before, on a Thursday night before the games even start, then you can kind of have that the next day ready for you if you want, or bringing it with you as well. If you are bringing a meal like this with you for lunch, make sure that it's packed in a cooler with an ice pack, that you're keeping it cold, and then you can have it safely, but you don't want to just keep it three hours plus at room temperature, otherwise it won't be safe. So if you don't think you have access to a cooler or an ice pack, or even if you prefer to have your food hot and need access to a microwave, then best to kind of enjoy it in the evening, okay, when it's kind of fresh and you can safely reheat it. For the peanut butter bites, we talked about this earlier, so it's great to pack for fuel in between games, or even at the fifth end break. It's going to be really a great source of energy, especially the way we did them today with the Rice Krispies. Everything is really quick sources of carbohydrates, very easy to digest. It also can be used as a recovery snack. You just need to pair it. So the energy bites are going to be mostly a source of carbohydrate. You will get some protein, some fats from the peanut butter, but it's going to be higher in carbohydrate. So you're going to get your carb for recovery from the energy bites. And then if you pair it with a glass of milk or Greek yogurt, then it's going to be a pretty complete recovery as well, okay, as a snack. And I just want to touch up on some food safety rules. There's a bunch of them here, and I will send you this presentation so you can review it, okay? But typically, now let's say we're keeping the food sitting at room temperature. We're gonna let it cool, okay, before you put it in the fridge. You're gonna let it cool down, but you don't wanna keep it for longer than 3 hours. So usually we recommend 2 hours at room temperature, maximum 3 hours until it's cooled down, then you can refrigerate it, okay? If it's still not completely cooled down when you put it in the fridge, you don't need to cover it. You kind of can keep it uncovered until you know it's cooled down in the fridge, and then you can cover it so that it doesn't that the water doesn't evaporate into the lid, okay? In terms of how much time leftovers stay in the fridge, usually we recommend a maximum of 4 days. After that, you'll, make sure that you finish them, that you're eating them, finish them, or usually we recommend that you throw it because bacteria is going to grow and you don't want to get any foodborne illness. If you're not sure you're going to eat certain foods, this is probably not freezer friendly, but you can freeze some stews, you can freeze pasta sauces, anything that you've done that you think is a big batch. Feel free to freeze that as soon as you've done it, or a certain amount immediately, and then write the date, because it's only going to be good for 2 to 3 months when it's frozen. Okay, so you want to kind of consume it within 3 months. If you are thawing anything, let's say you're thawing chicken that you have in the freezer, you're thawing raw salmon that you have in the freezer, then make sure that you're doing so in the fridge, not in the sink, not on the counter. So make sure you're kind of planning ahead. And because I know sometimes like we're rushing and it's like, oh my God, I didn't thaw the protein. So make sure that you're planning ahead, because it usually is going to take at least 24 hours to thaw in the fridge, okay? So plan that ahead. That's the safest way to thaw protein. Cooking, we saw that today, we practiced it. So at least at an internal temperature of 165, there are some descriptors we can use as I showed you with the fish and with the chicken, but thermometer is usually going to be the most accurate. And then if you are eating any sauces, any soups, boil them before you eat them, especially if they're leftovers. And very important, don't reheat leftovers twice, okay? So if you've heated an amount once and you couldn't finish it, don't restore it and reheat it. It's probably just gonna encourage bacterial growth and can lead to a foodborne illness. So usually we recommend that you just reheat it once, okay? And then again, if you've already thawed chicken, so let's say you've thawed some protein, or you've thawed some pasta sauce that you've made and you didn't finish it, better to discard it, not to reheat it, not to freeze it again, okay? Because all of the process of thawing and cooking is really going to start the process of bacterial growth, so you don't want to kind of redo that again. It's not going to be very safe. Any questions? I saw some.
There's one question
the
there,
chat.
Melissa. Can you use Nutella if you don't have peanut butter?
Yeah, I feel that would be very decadent energy bites.
Mm-hmm. You might then reduce the cocoa, would you, perhaps?
I would keep, maybe,
the
I would keep it. Yeah.
Okay. No, you can experiment. find
It
out
might
what's
be
in.
high. You might feel that it's going to be too sweet. Where are you guys? I lost my video. 1 second. Oh. Okay, you might feel that it's a bit too sweet.
Mhm.
I'm not sure how, because with the honey and the Nutella, it might be a bit too sweet for you. I don't know. You're gonna have to try it. Probably the best substitute would be soy butter instead of peanut butter, for it to be like the same flavor profile and not having to make any adjustments. I feel if you're using Nutella, there might be some adjustments to make, but you'll need to try it. Just because the Nutella is sweet, and then we're adding honey, but I feel you do need the honey for it to stick as well. Okay.
Good. All right. Any more questions or comments?
Oh, and those are my energy bites as well.
Oh, yes. Yes, we wanted to see those. Ooh, they look so delicious.
I'll try one. They're not very sweet. They're good.
They're
I
good?
don't know if anybody tried them. Yeah, delish.
Good.
But
So,
I put them in the fridge, and I definitely think probably better in the freezer,
mhm.
which is what the recipe says.
And
Yeah,
then
they're
would
gonna harden.
you would store them in the freezer, but you don't eat them frozen, right? Like you would let
No, you
them
probably leave them a little bit.
thaw them a
For
little
sure.
bit?
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
Okay.
But I would probably do the freezer, especially if you're gonna take them with you,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like they might soften at room temperature.
Okay. All right. Are
So-
there any other
so-
questions or comments or? We had a lot, just a few chats ago about, thank you. Everything tastes great. Thank you. There was somebody who said they're going to make it again. They were going to try. Yeah, Mia and Justine, very good. Thank you. Definitely will be making it again. So. Awesome.
Great. Thank you so much.
So thank you again, Melissa. This was for our first time doing this with the OCC. This has been a great success. The recipes look great, great information. I think you covered all the bases. I'd like to thank everybody for attending, and also for those of you who are able to participate and cook along. That's always nice to know that that's going on as well. So enjoy your dinner. We have one more webinar this month, April 28th, and it's Finding Balance with School Life and Curling. So please register. Registration is still open. Registration will close on Tuesday. I will be sending out the recording, a link to the recording to everybody, and I'll also send it to Melissa, so you will have Melissa's contact information.
Perfect.
Through that email, and you actually already do, because I copied Melissa on the invitation. So
yeah. So what I'll do is I'll send you, Andrea, the presentation slides. I mean,
sure.
There's just a couple of notes there that maybe you want to review, guys, with the food safety, and then I'll just add the oven mitts into the equipment just as a reminder, because I forgot about them as the equipment needed. So if you are remaking this in a competition setting, it's just good to remember. Okay.
All right.
All right. I'm glad everybody enjoyed. Thank you.
They sure seem to. And I'm hungry. I'm starving now.
Yeah. Okay, dinner time.
Yeah. So it was good. I see somebody else has opened up their video.
Just wanted to show you guys. We got, see if the camera can work here. We got our veggies, we got chicken and energy bites, and the couscous is just still cooking a little.
Oh,
yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. Do you have any questions? Is it going okay?
Oh, it's going good. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
Did you one question would be, for the teams that you've worked with, was there anything that they found in terms of planning and when they did their planning? Like, because especially if you're playing a lot of weekends, right? It's kind of just a system. You got to find a system that works for when you can plan that stuff. Any tips and tricks for how they divvied that up between them, or when they did their planning?
When is really just planning ahead, maybe 2-3 weeks before it gets really busy, or at least a month in advance to plan, because you guys are going to be really talking among yourselves, right? So what I would recommend is really making sure that you all sit together and split tasks. That's going to be very important, and really talk openly about it, but not so that you don't end up feeling like there's one person who's doing everything. Sit down together, look at the competition schedule if you have it, at least a month in advance or maybe a few weeks in advance. Split the task between who's going to get the groceries, who's going to choose the recipes perhaps, or maybe you want to do this together. Maybe let's say you decide to do two main meals and the rest is going to be sandwiches, just like as we did. I don't know if you were at the presentation.
Yes, I was.
Yes,
Yes,
he
you
was.
are.
Yeah.
So depending on how much you what you choose to make, let's say it's two main meals. For main meals specifically, I would recommend you try them like we did today, so that you know what to expect, adjust, and maybe again, like you guys decide to do a cook together, and then, you know, if it's possible, and then kind of get a good understanding of how the recipe is. Or again, each one of you will try one recipe and give any feedback and make adjustments to it.
Gotcha.
And
Yeah, I
other
like
than
the
that,
template on the webinar last week that the team you work with used looked good to for the schedule.
I can if that's useful, we have a PowerPoint of that template, and I can just send it to you so you guys can just fill it up or print and write down things. So I can send you that template
Sure.
if it helps. Yeah, I'll include it, Andrea, in the email.
That's
Okay?
great. Yeah, and it's good team building activity as well.
Yeah, I really
cooking
think
and
probably
eating together.
exactly. Number one tip would be really to do this with your team. Don't feel like, you know, so that there's not one person planning, and try to plan ahead as soon as possible, because everybody's busy. So don't leave it till the last week, right? Try to plan ahead once you have your schedule, what we're going to cook, what are the recipes, who's going to get the groceries, when we're going to do that. Just kind of like I planned it into the planner. And the planner has a little space where you can write down what recipes you're going to make. I didn't show that, but you will be able to see it in the document. And then it also has a place to write down your grocery list as well. So
awesome. That's great.
Okay.
And
thanks both of you guys a lot.
Oh, you're welcome, Coop.
pleasure.
Thank you for participating. It's been awesome. That's great. Okay. Sign up for the next one too. Okay, Kibo?
Will do.
All right. Okay. Thanks, everybody. We're going to, I'll stop